The alarm sounded throughout the International Space Station at 3:42 a.m. Earth Standard Time. Dr. Lisa Warren jolted awake from her light sleep, immediately grabbing for her glasses and tablet. The message flashing across her screen made her blood run cold. Unknown objects approaching solar system. Multiple signatures. Speed exceeding known capabilities. She dressed quickly and rushed to the command center where Admiral Steve Bennett was already gathering the station's top scientists and military personnel. "What are we looking at?" Lisa asked, pushing her way through the crowd. The main screen showed a cluster of red dots moving steadily toward Earth. They had appeared suddenly at the edge of Neptune's orbit, seeming to materialize from nowhere. "Whatever they are, they're not ours," Admiral Bennett said, his face grim in the blue light of the monitors. "And they're moving faster than anything we've ever built." Captain John Miller stood silently at the Admiral's side, studying the trajectory calculations. As commander of the Earth Defense Force flagship USS Defiance, he would be first in line if these visitors proved hostile. "Time to Earth?" he asked quietly. "At current speed, 4 days," responded the monitoring officer. The news reached Earth within minutes. Emergency sessions of the United Nations convened as military forces worldwide went on high alert. Centuries of national rivalries were temporarily set aside in the face of what could only be first contact with an alien civilization. Noon, the Earth Defense Force had been formally established, uniting the planet's military assets under a single command structure. Admiral Bennett was named its leader, with Captain Miller given operational command of the combined space fleet, little more than a handful of military vessels and retrofitted civilian ships. "We're looking at approximately 200 vessels," Lisa told the assembled commanders 2 days later. The unknown craft had slowed as they passed Jupiter, giving Earth scientists a better chance to study them. The largest is nearly 2 miles long. Their technology is clearly far beyond our own. The aliens made no attempt to communicate as they approached, ignoring all broadcast attempts from Earth. Then, on the morning of the 4th day, as the alien fleet entered Mars orbit, every screen, device, and communication system on Earth simultaneously activated with the same transmission. The creature that appeared had a vaguely humanoid shape, but with gray-blue skin and 4 eyes arranged vertically on its face. When it spoke, its words were somehow perfectly translated into each listener's native language. "People of Earth, I am Krastar, emissary of the Galactic Hegemony. Your world has been monitored for some time, and the hegemony has determined that your species has reached sufficient technological development to be of value. The Empire requires your submission. Your resources, labor, and military capability will serve the greater good of the hegemony." The creature paused, its upper eyes blinking slowly. "Resistance is inadvisable. The hegemony has incorporated thousands of worlds into its domain. None who have resisted remain. You have 30 days to dismantle your military forces and prepare your governmental structures for integration. To demonstrate our resolve, the transmission switched to a live feed showing the small military outpost on Mars. 3 alien ships approached it, glowing with strange energy. A beam of light shot out from one ship, and the outpost simply disappeared. No explosion, no debris, just gone, along with the 47 personnel stationed there. "That was a small demonstration of our capability," Krastar continued. "We await your formal surrender. 30 days. The transmission ended. Panic spread across Earth. Religious groups proclaimed the end times. Stock markets crashed. Riots broke out in major cities as people fought over supplies, preparing for what many believed would be the end of human civilization. In the White House Situation Room, President Ellen Cruz met with global leaders via secure video conference. "The math is simple," said the Chinese premier. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours. We cannot win a military confrontation. Submission means the end of human self-determination," countered the German chancellor. "We would be slaves." Captain Miller stood at attention along the wall, listening silently. As the senior military officer with space combat experience, he had been summoned to provide tactical assessment. President Cruz noticed his rigid posture, Captain Miller, you have something to add? Madam President, with respect to the assembled leaders, we're missing something. If these aliens are as powerful as they appear, why give us 30 days? Why not simply take what they want? The room fell silent as everyone considered his words. They're either following some sort of protocol, Miller continued, or they have a reason to fear immediate conflict. Either way, it suggests there might be weaknesses we haven't identified yet. Dr. Lisa Warren burst into the room, ignoring the protests of security personnel. He's right, she said breathlessly, holding up her tablet. I've been analyzing the transmission. Their technology isn't magic. It operates on principles we can understand. She connected her tablet to the main display, showing a complex energy pattern. Their ships emit a specific radiation signature. I think it's tied to their weapons and defense systems. Can we use this? President Cruz asked. Maybe, Lisa replied. But I need more data. The meeting shifted focus. Instead of debating surrender terms, they began formulating a plan to gather intelligence on the alien fleet. The USS Defiance would lead a small reconnaissance team to observe the aliens from a distance, using stealth technology originally designed for espionage against terrestrial adversaries. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Bennett pulled Captain Miller aside. This is likely a suicide mission, John. We need time, and that means someone has to get close enough to those ships to learn something useful. Miller nodded. The Defiance was built for this kind of operation. We'll get what we need. As they prepared to depart, Dr. Warren approached Miller on the launch deck. I'm coming with you, she said firmly. You need someone who understands what to look for. Miller started to object, then saw the determination in her eyes. We launch in 3 hours. Don't be late. The next morning, as the USS Defiance and 3 smaller vessels slipped away from Earth using minimal power to avoid detection, the alien fleet established orbit around the moon. They made no further communications but began deploying smaller craft that formed a perimeter around Earth. They're setting up a blockade, Miller observed from the bridge of the Defiance as they carefully navigated past the outer planets. Making sure we can't escape. Or making sure nothing can get in to help us, Lisa added quietly. Miller studied the tactical display, where dozens of red dots surrounded his home planet. Either way, we've got 29 days to find their weakness. Let's make them count. The USS Defiance drifted silently through the darkness of space, its engines running on minimal power. Captain John Miller stood on the bridge, watching the alien fleet through the ship's advanced telescopes. 3 days had passed since they left Earth. How close can we get without them detecting us? Miller asked. Chief Engineer Frank Dominguez looked up from his console. Hard to say, Captain. Their scanning technology is nothing like ours, but I'd guess no closer than the dark side of Europa. Miller nodded. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, would give them a hiding spot while still allowing them to monitor the enemy ships breaking away from the main fleet. Take us in, Lieutenant, Miller ordered. The ship changed course using Jupiter's massive gravitational field to mask their approach. In the science lab, Dr. Lisa Warren worked tirelessly, analyzing the data streaming in from their long-range sensors. The walls were covered with charts and diagrams showing radiation patterns from the alien vessels. Found anything useful? Asked Lieutenant Susan Richards, as she entered with 2 cups of coffee. Lisa took one gratefully. Maybe. These ships produce an unusual form of radiation that seems linked to their shield systems. Every time they move or fire weapons, there's a spike in this energy pattern. Susan studied the readings. And that helps us how? I'm not sure yet, but understanding how their shields work might reveal a weakness. Lisa pulled up another screen, showing the destruction of the Mars outpost. Look here. When they fired that weapon, their own shields briefly changed frequency. It's almost as if they had to adjust to prevent feedback. On the bridge, Miller received a priority transmission from Admiral Bennett. The Admiral's face appeared on screen, looking tired but determined. Captain, how goes the recon mission? We're gathering data, sir. Dr. Warren thinks she might be onto something with their shield technology. Bennett nodded. We need results. Fast. The global situation is deteriorating. Half the world governments want to surrender immediately. The others are preparing for a fight we can't win. We need something concrete to rally around. Understood, sir. Miller's response was cut short as alarms blared through the ship. Captain, 3 alien vessels on approach vector, called out the sensor officer. They've changed course directly toward us. Miller's mind raced. Have they detected us? Unknown, sir, but they're moving fast. Miller made a split-second decision. Battle stations. Power up weapons but keep them offline. Prepare for emergency jump if needed. The crew rushed to their positions as the alien ships closed in. The Defiance hovered in the shadow of Europa, weapons ready but dormant. They're scanning the area, reported Lieutenant Richards. Sweeping patterns suggest they haven't pinpointed us yet. Miller watched the tactical display as the alien vessels moved closer. Hold position. Suddenly, one of the alien ships broke formation, heading directly toward their hiding spot. They've found us, Miller said quietly. Options, Engineer Dominguez spoke up. Captain, I've been going over Dr. Warren's findings. If she's right about their shield frequency, our nuclear torpedoes might actually affect them more than we thought. Explain. Their shields seem to filter out most energy weapons, but they might be vulnerable to the specific radiation from our nuclear arsenal. It's primitive by their standards. They might not be fully protected against it. Miller considered this. They had 4 nuclear torpedoes on board, outdated weapons kept mainly for asteroid deflection. Using one would reveal their position completely, but if they were already detected, Sir, called Lieutenant Richards, 1 alien vessel now within weapons range. The others are hanging back. Miller made his decision. Target the lead ship. Single nuclear torpedo. Let's test the doctor's theory. The weapons officer programmed the launch sequence. Torpedo armed and ready, sir. Fire. The torpedo streaked away from the Defiance, crossing the void toward the approaching alien ship. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then the torpedo struck the alien's shields. Instead of dissipating harmlessly as they feared, the nuclear explosion created a cascading reaction in the alien shield. Brilliant purple energy rippled across the surface of the ship before its shields collapsed completely. Direct hit, shouted the weapons officer. Their shields are down. Follow up with conventional missiles, Miller ordered. A volley of missiles struck the now unprotected alien vessel, tearing through its hull. The ship didn't explode dramatically. Instead, its lights flickered and died as it drifted powerless. The other 2 alien ships immediately changed course, retreating at high speed. They're running, Richard said, disbelief in her voice. Miller couldn't believe it either. Damage assessment on the target appears to be completely disabled, sir. No signs of power or life support. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Miller quickly restored order. We got lucky. They weren't expecting us to have effective weapons. That won't happen again. In the lab, Dr. Warren was ecstatic. It worked. The nuclear detonation created exactly the frequency disruption I predicted. Miller joined her, reviewing the data from the engagement. Can we replicate this on a larger scale? Maybe. Their shields operate on principles we can understand. The radiation from our nuclear weapons creates a resonance cascade in their shield matrix. She paused. But we'd need a lot more warheads to take on their main fleet. Lieutenant Richards entered the lab with urgent news. Captain, I've intercepted communications from the retreating ships. They're sending data back to their fleet about what happened. Can you translate it? Working on it, but one thing's clear, they're surprised. And based on the transmission patterns, I'd say they're also afraid. Miller's communicator beeped with an incoming message from Admiral Bennett. Captain, our long-range sensors show weapons fire near Europa. Report status immediately. Sir, you're not going to believe this. We engaged an alien vessel and disabled it completely. Dr. Warren was right. Their shields are vulnerable to our nuclear weapons. Silence on the line then. Are you certain? Yes, sir. We have confirmation and data. We can hurt them. The Admiral's voice changed, hope creeping in for the first time. Return to Earth immediately. Bring everything you've learned. And Captain, well done. As the Defiance changed course for home, Miller watched the stars through the view screen. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. We're in a race now. On the main alien vessel orbiting the moon, Vex Nor, military commander of the hegemony forces, received the distressing news. Humans had somehow discovered their shield's weakness to primitive nuclear radiation, a flaw the hegemony had thought long forgotten by younger races. Vex Nor's four eyes narrowed as he made his decision. Move up the timetable. Begin the invasion. Now, Earth must not have time to exploit this knowledge. The massive alien fleet began to move, breaking orbit from the moon and heading toward Earth. The real war was about to begin. The USS Defiance raced back toward Earth, pushing its engines beyond safety limits. Captain John Miller had just received the worst possible news. The alien fleet had begun moving toward Earth, abandoning their original 30-day ultimatum. "How long until we reach home?" Miller asked, his knuckles white as he gripped the edge of the command console. 6 hours at current speed, replied the navigation officer. The aliens will arrive in 4. Miller slammed his fist down. Not good. Enough. Divert power from life support if necessary. We need to get there before the main assault begins. In the ship's laboratory, Dr. Lisa Warren and engineer Frank Dominguez worked frantically to refine their findings on the alien shield weakness. If we can broadcast these shield frequencies to military commands worldwide, Lisa said, wiping sweat from her forehead, every nuclear-capable nation could reconfigure their missiles to target the weakness. Dominguez nodded. It's our only chance. But even then, we're talking about using most of Earth's nuclear arsenal against a single enemy. On Earth, panic spread as the alien fleet approached. Admiral Steve Bennett coordinated with military forces worldwide from the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Large screens showed the alien armada spreading out to surround the planet. What's the status of our orbital defenses? Bennett asked. Space-based missile platforms are armed and ready, responded his aide. But based on what happened on Mars, they won't make a dent. The door burst open as President Ellen Cruz entered with her security detail. Tell me we have a plan, Admiral. The Defiance is inbound with critical intelligence, Madam President. But they won't arrive before the aliens. We need to buy time. President Cruz took a deep breath. Then we fight with what we have until they get here. The first alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere 30 minutes later. They positioned themselves above major cities, New York, Beijing, London, Moscow, Tokyo, but did not immediately attack. Instead, all communication systems worldwide once again broadcasted a message from Krazatar. People of Earth, you have violated the terms of our arrangement by attacking our scout ships. The grace period is revoked. Submit immediately or be destroyed. President Cruz stood before the emergency broadcast camera, her face calm despite the circumstances. This is President Ellen Cruz of the United Earth Government. We did not ask for this conflict, but neither will we surrender our world to tyranny. Humanity rejects your terms. In response, the alien ships opened fire. Energy beams struck military bases around the world. Installations vanished in flashes of light, taking thousands of soldiers with them. Commander Alan Foster led the ground defense of Washington, D.C. as alien dropships began landing troops in the city center. The aliens wore armor that deflected conventional bullets, and they carried weapons that disintegrated targets on contact. Fall back to defensive position Bravo, Foster shouted into his radio as another building collapsed nearby. Use explosive rounds only. Aim for the joints in their armor. Across the world, similar scenes played out as humanity fought with desperate courage against an overwhelmingly superior force. The USS Defiance finally approached Earth orbit, only to find itself facing a screen of alien warships. We'll never break through their blockade, Lieutenant Richards said grimly. Miller studied the tactical display. We don't need to. Prepare to broadcast Dr. Warren's findings on all frequencies. Every military command on Earth needs this data. But sir, the moment we start broadcasting, they'll pinpoint our location. I'm counting on it. Miller turned to the weapons officer. Arm all remaining nuclear torpedoes. We're going to create a diversion they can't ignore. As the Defiance began transmitting the shield frequency data, 3 alien cruisers immediately broke from the blockade and moved to intercept. "Fire torpedoes. Spread pattern Alpha," Miller ordered. The ship shuddered as it launched its remaining nuclear weapons. Unlike the surprise attack at Europa, the aliens were ready this time, adjusting their shields to counter the nuclear radiation. But that was exactly what Miller had anticipated. "Full power to engines. Take us straight toward the flagship. Get the Defiance accelerated toward the heart of the alien formation, drawing more enemy ships away from their positions. Below, on Earth, military commanders received the shield frequency data and began reprogramming their nuclear arsenals. In the command center, Admiral Bennett watched the unfolding space battle. "The Defiance is buying us time. Are the missiles ready?" "First wave reprogrammed and ready to launch, sir." Bennett looked to President Cruz, who nodded grimly. "Launch." Nuclear missiles erupted from silos across the planet, streaking upward toward the alien fleet. The aliens, focused on the Defiance, didn't immediately recognize the threat. When they did, it was too late. The missiles detonated, not on impact but at precisely calculated distances, creating overlapping fields of radiation tuned to the exact frequency that disrupted their shields. Dozens of alien ships suddenly found themselves defenseless. Earth's conventional forces followed up immediately, firing everything they had at the exposed vessels. Alien ships began falling from the sky, crashing into oceans and unpopulated areas as ground controllers directed the impacts away from cities. On the bridge of the Defiance, Miller watched in amazement as the alien formation broke apart in confusion. "It's working. Their fleet is in disarray." The triumph was short-lived. The main alien flagship, enormous compared to the other vessels, remained unaffected. It launched a devastating counterattack, destroying 3 Earth missile platforms with single shots. "Their flagship has adaptive shielding," Dr. Warren reported, analyzing the readings. "It's already compensating for the frequency disruption." Miller's communicator crackled with Admiral Bennett's voice. "Captain, the aliens are sending reinforcements from the moon. We've hurt them, but this isn't over." "Understood, sir. We'll—" Miller was cut off as the ship rocked violently. "Direct hit to our port engine," shouted Engineer Dominguez. "We're losing power." The Defiance began drifting, its engines sparking and failing. Miller helped a fallen crew member back to her station. As emergency alarms blared, "Get us back in the fight," he ordered. "Reroute power from non-essential systems." As the crew struggled to repair the ship, a strange signal came through on an emergency channel. The message was distorted but clear enough to understand. "Attention, Earth vessel. This is Kreezex of the Resistance. We offer assistance. The hegemony is not invincible. We have been waiting for someone to fight back." Miller and Dr. Warren exchanged shocked glances. They weren't alone in the fight anymore. On the alien flagship, Supreme Commander Zarvek watched the battle with growing rage. "These humans are more dangerous than we thought. Prepare the planet killer weapon. If we cannot have Earth, no one will." The small ship that approached the damaged USS Defiance looked nothing like the sleek vessels of the hegemony fleet. It was rough, patched together from mismatched parts, and moved erratically as if to avoid detection. "Hold fire," Captain Miller ordered as his weapons officer targeted the approaching craft. "Let's hear what they have to say." The view screen flickered to life, showing a being similar to Krastar, but with paler skin and only 3 vertical eyes instead of 4. A scar ran down one side of its face. "I am Kreezex," the alien said. "Former science officer of the hegemony, now rebel. Your resistance has created an opportunity we have waited generations for." "Why should we trust you?" Miller asked. "Because I can get you onto the flagship of Supreme Commander Zarvek. He is preparing a planet-killer weapon that will destroy your world entirely." Kreezex's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "Many worlds have fallen to the hegemony. Yours could be the first to truly fight back." Dr. Lisa Warren stepped forward. "How many of you are there? Rebels, I mean. Thousands across hundreds of conquered worlds. We have hidden, waiting for the right moment. Your nuclear weapons, technology the hegemony considers primitive, caught them unprepared. This advantage will not last long." Miller considered their options. The Defiance was badly damaged, Earth's forces were stretched thin, and now they faced a threat that could destroy the entire planet. "What do you propose?" he asked. "I have access codes to the flagship. My ship can approach without raising alarms. I can get a small team aboard." Miller nodded slowly. "Let's say we do this. What's the target?" "The Neural Network Center. The hegemony leadership is connected to a central system that coordinates their entire fleet. Disrupt it, and their command structure collapses." On Earth, Admiral Bennett and General Maria Diaz coordinated the ground defense from the mobile command center. They had been forced to evacuate the underground facility when alien forces targeted it with bunker-busting weapons. "We've lost contact with forces in Europe and most of Asia," General Diaz reported. "Our troops are fighting block by block, but the aliens have air superiority almost everywhere." Admiral Bennett studied the global tactical display. Red indicators showed alien control, blue showed human resistance. There was far too much red. "What about the nuclear counterstrike?" he asked. "It worked initially, but they're adapting their shields. Each strike becomes less effective than the last." A junior officer rushed in with a tablet. "Sir, encrypted transmission from the Defiance. Captain Miller has made contact with rebels within the alien forces." Bennett's eyebrows shot up. "Rebels? Put them through." Miller's face appeared on screen, with Krizek's visible behind him. Bennett listened as Miller explained their desperate plan to infiltrate the alien flagship. "It's a suicide mission," Bennett said finally. "Yes, sir, it probably is," Miller agreed. "But if that flagship deploys its planet killer, none of us survive anyway." Bennett nodded grimly. "What do you need from us?" "A diversion, the biggest one possible. When we signal, hit them with everything we have left. We need their attention. Focused outward, not inward." "We'll be ready, Captain. Good luck." Within the hour, Miller had assembled a strike team. Himself, Dr. Warren, Lieutenant Richards, and Engineer Dominguez. The rest of the Defiance crew would return to Earth aboard escape pods, carrying vital data about alien technology. "This is a volunteer mission only," Miller told his chosen team. "I won't order anyone to come." "With respect, Captain," Richards replied. "We're already volunteers. Let's finish this." Krizek's small ship detached from the Defiance and moved carefully toward the massive alien flagship, broadcasting identification codes that marked it as a returning scout vessel. Dr. Warren and Engineer Dominguez huddled in the cramped cargo hold with the other humans reviewing the schematics Krizek had provided. "The Neural Network Center is here," Warren said, pointing to a glowing section near the center of the ship. "Heavily guarded, but Krizek says he can get us close using maintenance tunnels." "And this device will disrupt it?" Dominguez asked, holding up a small cylinder they had constructed using components from both human and alien technology. "In theory, it creates a feedback loop in their network, essentially giving their entire command structure a massive migraine." Warren managed a small smile despite the tension. "They're so dependent on the network that they never developed safeguards against this kind of attack." Miller checked his weapon, a modified rifle designed to penetrate alien armor at the joints, where their protection was weakest. "Everyone clear on the plan? We go in, plant the device, and get out, if we can." The others nodded silently. They all knew the odds of returning were slim. Krizek's ship passed through the flagship's outer security without incident. They docked in a small maintenance bay where Krizek quickly disabled the few guards present. "Their focus is outward," the rebel alien said. "Most forces are deployed against your world. We must hurry." They moved through narrow passages, avoiding the main corridors where hegemony troops moved in formation. Twice they had to hide as patrols passed, pressing themselves into recessed doorways as alien soldiers marched by. "We're close," Krizek whispered after nearly 30 minutes of tense progress. "The network center is beyond that security door." Miller peered around the corner. Two heavily armed guards stood at attention outside a massive door covered in glowing symbols. "We can't shoot. It'll trigger alarms," Richards whispered. Krizek reached into a pouch at his waist and removed a small device. "Distraction," he explained. He activated it and tossed it down a side corridor, where it began emitting a high-pitched wail like an alarm. The guards immediately responded, moving toward the sound with weapons raised. The humans and their alien ally slipped past and approached the door. "Access code should work," Krizek said, pressing his three-fingered hand against a panel. Nothing happened. He tried again with the same result. "They've changed the codes, we're locked out." "Then we do this the hard way," Dominguez said, pulling out a small explosive charge. "Stand back." The charge made a surprisingly small sound, more of a pop than an explosion. But the door's locking mechanism was destroyed. They forced it open manually and slipped inside. The neural network center was a vast chamber filled with pulsing light. In the center floated a cluster of crystalline structures connected by beams of energy. Around it, dozens of aliens sat in semicircular arrangements, their eyes closed, apparently connected to the network mentally. "There," Krizek pointed. "The main control node." Miller signaled the team to move forward, but before they could take 3 steps, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. "I have been expecting you." The humans froze as a large figure emerged from behind the crystal cluster. Standing nearly 8 feet tall with all 4 eyes glowing with internal light, Supreme Commander Zarvek regarded the intruders with what might have been amusement. The rebellious humans come to make one final futile gesture. His gaze shifted to Krizek's. "And a traitor to guide them. How predictable." Miller raised his weapon, but Zarvek moved with surprising speed. A wave of his hand sent an invisible force that knocked the humans off their feet. Only Dr. Warren, standing slightly behind the others, remained upright. "Your species is remarkable," Zarvek continued, ignoring the fallen humans and focusing on Warren. "We have encountered your kind before, you know. Humans. On other worlds. In other systems. Always so determined. Always so dangerous." Warren clutched the disruption device behind her back. "If you've met humans before, you should know we don't surrender easily." "No," Zarvek agreed. "That is why your kind must be eliminated, not merely conquered. The planet killer will fire in 10 minutes. There is nothing you can do to stop it now." Dr. Lisa Warren kept her eyes fixed on Supreme Commander Zarvek, while her fingers worked blindly on the disruption device behind her back. Captain Miller lay on the floor nearby, slowly regaining his senses after being thrown down by the alien leader's power. "Your species has such potential," Zarvek continued, his 4 eyes glowing brighter. "Yet you waste it on independence. The hegemony brings order to the chaos of the galaxy. Order through fear isn't order at all," Warren replied, keeping him talking as she activated the first sequence on the device. "It's just control." Zarvek made a sound that might have been laughter. "A distinction without difference. All advanced civilizations learn this eventually." On the floor, Miller caught Warren's eye. He gave a tiny nod, understanding her plan. Slowly, he began sliding his hand toward the fallen weapon beside him. "If humans are so dangerous, why bother conquering us?" Warren asked, her voice steady, despite her racing heart. "Why not just destroy Earth immediately? Resources, labor. Your planet is rich in both." Zarvek gestured to the neural network behind him. "And your minds. Humans have unique mental patterns that strengthen our network. Those who submit become part of something greater." Miller's fingers closed around his weapon. At the same moment, Lieutenant Richards and Engineer Dominguez began stirring on the other side of the room. Krizek remained motionless, possibly more severely injured by Zarvek's attack. Warren needed more time. The disruption device required 30 seconds to fully activate. "You said you've met humans before. Where? When? Other worlds. Other times." Zarvek's upper eyes narrowed. "Humans spread across the stars long ago before they destroyed themselves in wars. You are merely one branch of a once mighty tree." Warren's mind reeled at this revelation, but she stayed focused on her task. 20 more seconds. Zarvek suddenly stepped forward. "Enough talk. Your device will not work. Did you think we would not detect it?" He reached for Warren, but Miller acted first. He fired 3 rapid shots at the alien commander. The energy blasts struck Zarvek's personal shield, dissipating harmlessly, but the distraction was enough. Richards and Dominguez sprang into action, firing at the connected aliens around the neural network. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Alarms blared as the connected aliens awoke, disoriented and confused. Zarvek roared with anger, sending another wave of force that knocked Miller back. "Now, Lisa," Miller shouted. Warren threw the disruption device directly into the heart of the neural network. It passed through the outer energy field and lodged in the central crystal cluster. For a moment, nothing happened. Zarvek laughed. "A futile gesture." His words cut off as the crystal began to pulse erratically. The beams of energy connecting it to the aliens flickered and changed color. Zarvek staggered, clutching his head in apparent pain. "What have you done?" he gasped. "Created a feedback loop in your network," Warren explained, backing away. "Your own thoughts, amplified and reflected back at you thousands of times." The connected aliens began screaming, tearing at devices attached to their heads. Zarvek fell to his knees, all four eyes now dim and unfocused. "We need to get out of here," Miller said, helping Krizex to his feet. The alien rebel was wounded but conscious. "The planet killer," Krizex reminded them weakly. "Still active. Control room, 1 level up." Miller nodded grimly. "Richards, get Krizex back to the ship. Dominguez, Warren with me." They fought their way through corridors now filled with confused and disoriented alien soldiers. Without the neural network to coordinate them, the once disciplined troops were in disarray. Some still fought, but others seemed lost, uncertain what to do without direct commands. They reached the weapon control room and found it nearly abandoned. A single alien technician tried to block their entry, but fell quickly to Miller's accurate shot. "Can you disable it?" Miller asked as Dominguez examined the alien controls. The engineer studied the panel. "I think so. The countdown is still active. 7 minutes remaining." "Do whatever it takes," Miller said, taking position at the door, with Warren to guard against any approaching enemies. Outside the flagship, Earth's remaining forces launched their final desperate assault. Admiral Bennett had committed everything they had left: missiles, fighters, even civilian craft converted, to carry explosives. On the ground, General Diaz led her troops in coordinated attacks on alien landing zones. In orbit, something unexpected happened. Several alien ships suddenly stopped firing. Others began moving erratically, as if their pilots were confused. The disruption of the neural network was spreading throughout the fleet. Inside the weapon control room, Dominguez worked feverishly on the alien systems. "I can't stop it completely," he called out, "but I think I can change the target." "To what?" Warren asked, helping Miller repel another group of approaching aliens. "The moon. Their secondary fleet is based there." Dominguez's fingers flew over the alien controls, guided by his understanding of the technology they had studied. "If I redirect it..." Miller fired the last energy pack from his weapon. "Do it. We're out of time." With a final adjustment, Dominguez stepped back. "Done. Target locked to lunar coordinates, 3 minutes until firing." "Then let's get the hell out of here," Miller said. They ran back through the ship, encountering less resistance now as the command structure continued to collapse. They reached the maintenance bay where Krizex's ship waited, Richard standing guard at the entrance. "Any problems?" Miller asked as they boarded. "None, sir. It's like they've forgotten we're here." Krizex, despite his injuries, took the pilot's seat. "The network collapse is spreading. Without it, many will remember they were once free." They detached from the flagship and accelerated away, Krizex pushing the small ship's engines to their limits. Behind them, the enormous alien vessel began to glow as the planet-killer weapon charged for firing. "We're not going to clear the blast radius," Dominguez warned, watching the energy readings climb. The view screen suddenly lit up with Admiral Bennett's face. "Captain Miller, get to these coordinates immediately." A series of numbers appeared on their navigation display. Without questioning, Krizex changed course. They approached what appeared to be empty space, but as they neared, a massive human ship decloaked before them. "The CSS Avenger," Miller breathed. "I thought it was still in prototype phase." "It was," Bennett replied, "until we needed it. Dock now. 20 seconds until the alien weapon fires." Their small craft slipped into the docking bay of Earth's newest and most advanced warship. The moment they were secure, the Avenger jumped to safe distance. From there, They watched as the alien flagship fired its planet-killer weapon. The massive beam of energy shot not toward Earth but toward the moon. When it struck, the explosion was blinding. The moon's surface cracked, and the alien base there was completely vaporized, along with the secondary fleet. The shockwave raced outward, catching the flagship itself. The massive ship shuddered under the impact of its own weapon, its systems overloading. Secondary explosions rippled along its length before it finally broke apart in a cascade of fire. Throughout the solar system, the remaining alien vessels fell into disarray. Some fled, jumping to distant systems. Others simply powered down, their crews no longer bound to the hegemony's will. On the bridge of the CSS Avenger, Admiral Bennett greeted the returning heroes. "The aliens are retreating across the globe. Whatever you did up there worked." Captain Miller nodded toward Dr. Warren. "She disrupted their neural network. Without it, they couldn't coordinate. And some of them didn't want to fight in the first place," Warren added, glancing at Krizex, who was receiving medical attention nearby. President Cruz's face appeared on the main view screen. Despite the exhaustion evident in her features, she smiled. "Captain Miller, Dr. Warren, Earth owes you a debt we can never repay." Miller shook his head. "This wasn't just our victory, Madam President. This was humanity's stand." 3 weeks later, delegations from Earth met with representatives from dozens of formerly subjugated worlds. Krizex, now recovered from his injuries, served as translator and guide. "The hegemony ruled for 10,000 years, he told the assembled delegates. "You broke their power in a single day. Many worlds wish to learn from Earth, not your technology but your spirit." Dr. Warren stood beside Captain Miller as they looked out at the stars from the observation deck of the new United Worlds headquarters. "So, humanity has been out there all along," she said quietly. "Other branches of our family tree scattered among the stars?" Miller nodded. "And now we'll find them." Behind them, the delegates applauded as President Cruz signed the first interstellar alliance in Earth's history. Not an empire built on fear, but a union founded on freedom. The empire had demanded Earth's submission. Humanity had answered with fire, and the galaxy would never be the same.